Today is September 1st, 2015. This interview with Lee Richard Bakker of Jenison, Michigan is being conducted by Deb Moore of the Grand Valley State University Veterans History Project. Well, thanks for talking to me today, Lee. Why don't we start out and tell me a little bit about where you were born, when you were born, your family, that kind of thing, a little background.
Yeah, I was born in central Iowa. As a matter of fact, I was born in the country, rural Wellsburg, but our mailing address was Steamboat Rock, Iowa. Very unusual name. But anyway, I was the fifth of, or sixth of 7 children, six boys and 1 girl.
Okay. And what did your father do?
My father was a farmer.
Uh-huh.
And I grew up on the farm too and did farm work also.
Okay, tell your birth date. You were born October 14th?
1924.
1924. So what kind of farm chores did you have to do?
We had everything. We did crop farming, we raised cattle, we milked cows, we raised hogs, we raised chickens. So it was a little of everything.
Uh-huh. So you were used to hard work?
Very.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Did you like it?
Oh, it was just something that all farm boys did.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I went to high school and I did sports too, but mainly my job was working on the farm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what high school did you go to?
Wellsburg Public High School.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And did you graduate from there?
I did.
In
43.
43. Okay. And then what made you, did you enlist or did you
No, I was drafted.
Into the Army?
And they called me right after I graduated from high school in May.
Mm-hmm.
And then my father said, "You have one of my sons in the Army already. This boy has to stay home and help pick corn till the corn is out." So when the corn was out, they came again, and then I was drafted.
You were drafted. So did they say report to such and such a place? Where did you have to report?
Oh, to the Grundy County Courthouse in Grundy Center, but then from there we went to Des Moines.
Okay.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And was that where basic training was or processing?
Camp Roberts, California.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Do you remember anything about your physical and all that process in Des Moines?
Yeah, they noticed that my front teeth don't come together, and they said, "Do you have any trouble eating?" I said, "No." So that was it. No, I had no. At that time, I had no disabilities at all.
What was your height and weight about?
My height and
weight.
I weighed 143 pounds and I was 6 feet tall when I joined the Army.
Wow, okay. Okay, and were you in pretty good shape from all that farm work?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we'd go on these marches in Camp Roberts, California, I would sometimes have 3 rifles and 2 backpacks on my arm and on my, because those city folks weren't used to anything like that.
So you carried some of the other guys' stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was nice. You must have made a lot of friends.
And you know, we wore these big shoes, not combat boots exactly, but yeah, they're heavy work shoes like we used on the farm. And they thought they were terrible, and I was very comfortable with that.
That's great. That's great. So basic training wasn't too tough for you?
Oh, I loved it. And I loved close order drill, and I loved the rifle range. I was an expert rifleman, and
Had you shot on the farm?
oh yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Gophers and starlings and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Anything that was trying to get the crops?
And what?
Anything that was trying to eat the crops?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you excelled in that. So you had a pretty easy time of it in basic?
Had a what?
Pretty easy time of it?
Well, I thought it was fairly easy. We had a lot of free time.
What'd you do then?
Went to movies, which we hardly ever did on the farm. So I saw, and we sometimes would go into town, but not very often because it was hard to get a pass when you were in basic training.
Any other memories from basic training?
Pardon?
Any other memories from basic training?
No, not really. I had a very good friend from Arkansas.
What was his name?
I don't know.
Okay,
Can't remember.
okay, okay. And so you guys hung out together.
Yeah.
And so then what happened after Camp Roberts?
Well, we knew that we were going to get a 13-day furlough home, and after that we would go to the Pacific Theater, and a couple of us guys decided we had heard too much about the Japanese atrocities on the American soldiers, so we decided to join the paratroopers.
Ah,
So we went to Fort Benning, Georgia for paratrooper training. That was really great, except that I broke my leg on the 250 foot. They have the 250 foot free falls where you go up in a parachute and you land then, and I landed wrong, and
oh,
I just broke the small bone in my leg. But
okay.
that was that. I didn't want to go back.
Okay, so you were done with the paratroopers then.
Yeah.
So did they send you to the hospital?
No, they just sent me home.
Okay, and you had it taken care of in Iowa? Uh-huh. And how long did you get to convalesce?
And it gave me a month,
Okay.
and it was fine. It really didn't bother me hardly at all. I walked with crutches for quite a while.
Uh-huh. Well, you did well then to heal so quickly.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was fine.
Well, of course you were 18. Then what? Then where'd you go?
Well, then after they sent me to the East Coast, and I would go as a replacement to some unit overseas. And just before I was scheduled to go, I got a call. You've been assigned to to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And that's where I finished my training then. A 81 millimeter mortar training.
Okay.
And I went over with the 70th Division then from Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay. Over to Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
We landed in Marseille, France in, I think, November of 44.
Okay, by this time you'd already been in the service for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you landed in Marseille. Anything you remember about the crossing the Atlantic?
No, well, yeah, I do. I can remember I didn't get sick, and everybody else seemed like I got sick. They were hanging over the rails, and it was, and I just loved it. We and another fellow would go on the deck some nights, and the prow of the ship would be underwater, and I just thought it was great.
That's great. That's great.
But we had some that never left their bunk. They were hoping they could die.
That's
That must have
terrible.
been awful.
It was that awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. And in the meantime, where's your brother that's in the service? Where was he stationed?
He was in Italy. He was with the Air Force.
With the Air Force in
Yeah,
Italy.
he was a bomb loader
Uh-huh.
on the big
Uh-huh.
bombers.
So did you all feel like he was pretty safe?
Never really thought about it. You know, I don't know how much religion you want into this, but I'm from a family that had a lot of faith, and we always decided that the Lord would take care of us wherever we were.
That was a good philosophy. So did you feel nervous when you landed in Marseille?
No, not at all.
No. No. Did you have a regular routine of praying or reading the Bible or anything like that?
Well, you know, as I look back, being a youngster that I was, I feel I didn't show my faith near enough. Because, you know, somebody asked me once, well, did they know you were a Christian? I said I never told them. See, and I should have been more, now that I'm mature, you know,
Yeah.
I would be more willing to admit that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what happened when you landed in Marseille?
Well, we were there, just how long, I don't know, but then we boarded a train and went north, and I don't know how far we went north. I think, as I recall, there was a town called Leon or something like that, and that's where we assembled then our unit, and then we went into combat right from there.
Okay, I've got here on your sheet that you were in Company H, 275th, 70th Division.
Pardon me?
You were in Company H,
Yeah,
275,
right.
70th Division. So
Right.
you assembled and I'm sorry, and then what did you do?
Well, we, our company was assigned to a certain area, and we set up the first day we were there, and we were routed. The Germans came at us with tanks and infantrymen, and we all withdraw. You
Not
don't-
retreat.
No, you don't retreat. But we did.
We were hightailing it.
We hightailed it over a creek, and the Germans stopped following us. Oh man, that's the closest we ever got to being shot at, except that we were shelled from time to time when we were, you know, we moved a lot. Well, at this one place where we stayed that first night, we were there 21 days, and it was a cold winter and a snowy winter. Man, there was a lot of snow and cold. But my buddy and I, Mark Painter, we had a foxhole, and we shared that. But 21 days without a hot, what you might say a hot meal, just K rations or whatever. And then we got relieved. And we never went back to that place. Who knows where we went? But
Yeah, yeah. Were the Germans like just across from you, or why did you stay there so long, do you think?
Well, we kept them at bay.
I see.
And
Were you
of course-
fighting during all those days?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they shelled us, but we never got hit. One landed real close to us one time, right in the middle of our two mortars. I think there were two mortars. And the shell landed and it never exploded.
Oh,
It was a dud, I think.
wow. Thank goodness on that one.
Well, that was another, that's providential, you know. That's the Lord taking care of you.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay, so after 21 days, you must have got the advantage and advanced?
The what?
Did you get the advantage and then you advanced?
No, we stayed right there the whole time.
Okay.
And the engineering group that relieved us, they lost that area that we held all that time.
Oh.
And don't ask me where we went for our retreat and recuperation, because I have no idea. You know, Deb, I didn't care where we were. I just wanted to get the whole business over with so I could go back home.
I bet. So you just survived every day as best you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But then from then on, when we were set up at different places, I can remember one day, we just shot those mortar shells all day long. Man, we never quit. Now, they're very accurate up to a certain point, you know. And whether my shells ever killed anybody or not, I don't know. I'm just happy I never had to shoot one face to face. You know?
Right. Did so you never got close enough to a German to see him?
No.
No. No.
We were always a hill back of the infantry, or more or less.
And so you were in France for 10 months, from November of 44 to September of 45?
Well, no, we were in Germany part of that time.
Okay.
We were in Germany when they surrendered.
Oh, okay.
And wasn't that in June?
Yes. So you went from Marseille to Lyon.
Yeah.
And then you continued
to the next town that I can remember, a very strategic town, Saarbrucken.
Okay.
And when we captured that, our outfit, a division, then we went across the river into Germany.
I see.
And then I had a premonition that I wouldn't get back.
Oh.
But here I am.
Here you are. You did. That you would or you would not?
What?
You had a premonition that you would get back?
Wouldn't get back.
Would not get back. Okay. So you proved yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Now, did you have any interactions with the French people?
No, we never got to.
Never saw any?
Never got to see the French people. But when we were in Germany, we went into people's houses.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a German descent, but we speak the Low German, Plattdeutsch they called it, instead of Hochdeutsch, and there's day and night difference.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could hardly understand very few, but I tried to talk to them, and they enjoyed that we were there, that we freed them.
Did they? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They. So you had spoken German at home growing up?
Oh, I could speak German better than English when I started school.
Really? Had your parents come from Germany?
Well, not my parents. They were both raised in this country, but my grandparents immigrated.
Still, they passed on the language to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. And of course, my parents could both speak High German.
Oh, okay.
But at home, we never spoke High German. We always spoke Low German.
Okay. So what do you remember about your engagements in Germany?
Well, very limited, because Germany was on its heels, and we really routed them. So we didn't see much action in Germany at all.
You just kept marching ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And did you march or did you get transported by truck?
Well, we walked, and we also had a Jeep. And very little movement on trucks.
Okay. Mostly walking one place to another.
Yeah.
Then they'd keep your sleeping bag for you on a truck, or how did you?
I don't really remember. I think we mostly slept wherever we could find shelter.
Because it was still snowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We slept in buildings mostly when we were on the move. And we never changed clothes, you know. We always, can you imagine how
How you
onerous
smell?
that was?
So when you came upon a German village or farm and you said, we need to sleep overnight here, were the German people
Oh, yeah,
okay about that?
Oh, yes, very much so.
That was nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really about, well, we was in occupation, you know.
Okay, tell me
And,
about that. Mhm.
That wasn't, we mostly played softball. Because it was spring, toward spring then.
Okay,
you know.
now it was spring of 45.
Yeah.
Okay, and where were you occupying?
Well,
Berlin?
no, further, way south.
Way south of Berlin.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just where, I don't really
Okay.
know. Well, now, just a minute. It can't be, it must have been further north, of Frankfurt even, I think, because we were in one village, Großbliedersdorf, I think, and I was talking to a local there one morning, and you know, he said to me, if you would go 60 kilometers north, you could talk all the Low German you wanted to. And that was where my ancestors were.
We're from. Oh, that's nice.
So that was that was fairly far north then.
Yeah. Well, that would have been fun if you could have gone.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about playing softball.
Well, I didn't get to play very long. I was a pitcher, softball. And I was on KP one day, which we all had to do, you know. And the mess sergeant said to me, Lee, he says, we have to move this stove. You help me move this stove. I said, oh, Sergeant, I said, I shouldn't really do that. I said, I kind of got a bad back. Oh, he said, gold brick. I don't know if you're familiar with that term or not. That
Tell
means,
us what it means.
well, you're just not, you're shirking your duty is
yeah.
what you're doing.
Right.
So I thought, okay, buddy, I'll show you. And then I broke a vertebrae.
Oh.
Not a vertebrae, what do they call them?
A disc?
Ruptured disc.
Oh.
And so I was laid up, but they sent me to the hospital in Frankfurt. And I was there, oh, I don't know how long. I did a lot of reading. Because I love to read.
Uh-huh.
Finally, one morning, a German doctor examined me, and he looked at my unit or whoever was taking care of me in this hospital. They said, you might as well send this boy home. He's no good here anymore. So then I flew back to the States.
Great. But did you have trouble with your disc forever?
Well, I flew from Frankfurt to the Azores, and from the Azores to Newfoundland, and from Newfoundland to New York, and from New York to O'Reilly General Hospital in Springfield, Missouri. And there they gave me two options. We can give you a certificate of disability, discharge, or we can operate on you. I said, give me that paper. Because I thought I could get better at home.
Uh-huh.
This was already in 45, and then I struggled with that back. I went to a chiropractor and an osteopath, and I finally said to my osteopath, I said, in 1951 this was, I said, call the Veterans Hospital in Des Moines. I can't not take this anymore.
Right.
So they operated on it, and I've had trouble with my back ever since, but when I sit down and lay down, it's better.
Yeah, but so the operation was kind of successful?
Oh, very.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, you were so young to have trouble like that.
I know. The Army didn't know this, but I already hurt my back on the farm.
Oh, okay.
But it was okay
Yeah, yeah.
until I did that dumb thing.
With the stove, yeah.
With the stove.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, now tell me here. I've seen your medals. You have the Combat Infantry Badge, the Good Conduct Medal, World War II Medal, Z Battle Stars in the European Middle Eastern Campaign. Are any of those extraordinary, or those are your typical medals?
Yeah, they were.
Not that that's not wonderful.
Anybody that was in combat got battle stars.
I see. Okay. 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 And explain to me, when you say you were an 81 millimeter mortar man, was that something you did in a little team, or did you shoot the mortars yourself?
No, I had a mortar, 81 millimeter. You know what they were like?
No, tell me about
Okay, you have a base plate, which is quite heavy, and then you have a tube that fits on the base plate, and then you have a tripod, a lot like, not quite this big, and then you drop the shells in from the top, and that was my duty.
that. Okay.
And the gunner, shall we call him, he set up the mortar on that tripod with 3 stakes in front of him, and then when you practiced, you fired. And if you had a target, you fired 1 shot long, 1 shot short, and then you fired for effect. And with those 3 shells, you could almost hit your target.
I see.
If you had a good gunner.
I see. So you were the loader.
Yeah, I dropped the shells down the tube.
So it was a 2-man operation?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Let's see. Anything else you want to say about your time in Germany? Do you remember? So you were gone before VE Day?
Oh yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
I was there. Yeah, VE Day.
Oh, you were.
Oh yeah.
You were. Okay.
That's when I was in the Army of Occupation.
Okay. And what do you remember of that day?
You know, here they say they had celebrations in New York, and it was just another day.
Just another day, because you were occupying.
Yeah, what?
Because you were occupying Germany, yeah. So you didn't go out and drink champagne or?
No. But one thing, what we were doing after the Germany surrendered, our unit, our 70th Division, was training to go to the Pacific.
Oh.
Probably to invade Japan itself.
Oh boy.
But see, then they dropped the 2 bombs, which is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But it saved many American lives.
Wouldn't that have been awful to have to go from the action in Europe over to?
It would have been.
Oh, that would have been awful. So, Lee, did you ever take advantage of the GI Bill?
No. I'll tell you why. It's my own fault. But I had a high school sweetheart. And while I was in General Hospital in Springfield, Missouri, they gave me a 30-day furlough home. And in that time, I got married to my high school sweetheart.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And what's her name?
Her name was Lois.
Okay. Okay, so you and Lois got married. You went back to the hospital. Then you were discharged in September of 45.
Yeah.
And then what'd you do?
Well, I had a terrible back. You know, when you look back at how dumb people, young people are, we had absolutely no business getting married because I couldn't work. But my wife was a teacher, and you know, back in 45 and 46, you didn't need a lot of money. And I also got a severance pay, which wasn't all that much, which carried us through a while. But, and I also tried to start my, well, we lived with her folks a while, and then my dad-in-law had a house in Ackley, Iowa, which is about 7 miles from where we lived, maybe not even that much. So we moved there. And I got a job, my back was pretty good then, as an ice cream. I drove an ice cream truck.
Oh yeah.
And I delivered ice cream and novelties to, all different towns around there. And we also had to carry ice cream mix. The Princess Cafe in Iowa Falls, Iowa had their own cafe, and they made their own ice cream, but they used our mix. And I don't know if you're familiar with these 10-gallon cream cans. They were full. I had to carry them down a rickety old stairs, and that's where I hurt my back.
Again.
Back again.
Oh.
So I was laid up with that quite a while, and then I decided I would try and get a job with a hardware store in Ackley, Iowa. And they said to me, there's an electrician here, he could use some help. So I started doing electrical work with a man there who owned his own business. And I started really enjoying that.
No.
Oh man, and he was such a good mentor.
That's great.
I would be working on something, and I said, Glenn, I don't know just how to do this. He dropped everything and explained it all to me. I really learned a lot from him. So he quit the business, and I said, well, I'm going back to my own hometown in Wellsburg and start my own business. And I did this in '49, I think. And I did that. And then I hurt my back so bad I couldn't do it anymore. And then I finally went to the Veterans Hospital in Des Moines and got that taken care of. And then in 1956, the rural carrier's job came open in the post office. And out of 33 applicants, I got the job.
Oh, that was nice.
Oh man, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I did that for 28 years.
Okay.
And then I had, the reason I quit was I had heart surgery when I was 62 years old. And the doctors wouldn't let me go back to work. I says, everybody else is going back to work. Why can't I go back to work? Oh, he says, your job is too strenuous for the operation that you had. Well, I said, you're taking all my sick leave. I'm going to retire. The doctor said, you can retire? I said, yeah. I said, I can, but I just as soon work a while yet. If you can retire, he said, you retire. So when I was 62, on 4th of July, I retired from the U.S. Post Office.
And now you're 91.
I'm 91.
You've been retired for 29 years. Wow. Wow.
Well, I never in all my born days expected to live this long, because my father and mother, well, my dad was 72, I think, when he died, and my mom was 79. And all my siblings got to be 70, something like that. And here I am, still kicking.
Yeah, that's something. You never know. So what sports did you play in high school?
Well, they only had two. Basketball and baseball.
Baseball. You played both of those. And your brother came home from the war, okay?
Yep.
Okay. And you never used the GI Bill. What about, did you join any veterans groups?
Oh yeah, I'm a Legion member and a VFW member.
Okay.
I've been a American Legion member for 70 years.
Wow. Wow. And what do you do at American Legion meetings?
I don't go.
Oh, what did you do?
I just joined to be.
Oh, you never did go to anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
I could have gone to the one in Wellsburg, but they had a short business meeting and then they all sat down and played poker and
You weren't a poker player?
I'm not a poker player.
Okay, what about, did you have any lasting effects from the war? Did you have bad dreams or nothing like that?
I was really, really fortunate in that.
Yeah. And so looking back on your life, how do you think it changed your life being in the service when you were 17, 18, 19?
I don't know what we all knew we were going to go in the service.
Uh-huh. I mean, do you think you matured during those years or?
Oh, yeah, I did. I learned a lot in high school, but it was fun. Those were some of the best days of and I especially enjoyed the sports. Oh man, I enjoyed baseball. So I'm still a terrific baseball fan.
Yeah, yeah. It's too bad you couldn't play in later years with your back troubles. Yeah, I mean, you think it helped you? I mean, you said you loved it. You loved being on your own in the service before you were in combat.
Yeah, I enjoyed that very much.
You enjoyed that kind of freedom or independence. Okay.
But we were in the service for one reason, and that was to defeat the Nazis, you know. And that was our job. We did it to the best of our ability. And we just thank the Lord that it turned out the way it did.
Great. Well, that's a good note to end on, unless you have anything else to add.
I've got a wonderful family.
Okay.
Of course, my first wife died when she was 53.
Aw.
And I've been married to Thelma now, my present wife, for 35.
You had children with Lois?
Yeah, 4 boys.
4 boys.
And 4 excellent sons. Man, they're
great.
just great.
Great. Tell us their names.
Dwight, Randy, Mark, and John.
John, okay. And then you didn't have any children with Thelma?
No.
No.
Thank goodness we didn't want to make medical history.
That's right, because it was
I was 54 years old.
And you have grandchildren?
Oh yeah. Oh, I have so many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They are just such wonderful people.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Good. Well, listen, thanks for talking to me, Lee. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was fun.
Good.